All right, we are joined by Tribe skipper Terry Francona. Always fun when we can catch up with him. And Tito, I want to start with this. Number one, first and foremost, how are you feeling? I know a lot of Tribe fans are interested to see how you're doing. And as we get ready for another year of spring training here and another baseball season, just based on everything that happened last year, how are you doing?
You know what, Nick? Appreciate you asking. Somebody asked me last week if I thought I was 100%, and I told them not since 1981. All the things from last year have resolved themselves, and which is really good. I think you're going to see me on crutches for a couple of weeks when I get to spring training. Nothing serious, and I haven't really mentioned it to anybody, so I'm going to kind of wait and talk to everybody as a group when I get out there. But it's nothing that won't keep me from managing the team, and it's not earth-shattering, so I'll be okay.
What's been your assessment of this offseason so far? It's been busy for you guys. You think about some of the moves you've made, some of the trades you've made, some of the guys you've brought in. Just from your point of view, what Chris and his guys have been able to do in that front office, and I know you're a part of that. Just what have you made of everything?
Well, and it's not just busy when you see transactions. I think a lot of times, the busyness actually comes beforehand, and all the work that I know the guys put in to get deals done. And, it can get pretty hectic. I think I give Chris and Cherney a ton of credit, boy. They were honest and upfront and transparent early on. We knew that this was going to be a challenging offseason. And you know what? Every offseason has its challenges. This one was a little bit different, and we're trying to remain competitive in a landscape that is, like I said, is kind of challenging. It's going to be fun to see if we can do it. We're all excited. That's the one thing, and I know I've said this before, we'll never make an excuse for losing. And regardless of if we're a little more inexperienced or whatever the circumstances are, our goal is to win.
I try to say this nicely to some Tribe fans that might just be joining us. I mean, none of this to you, though, was a surprise. I mean, you think about a guy like Francisco Lindor. I mean, Tito, going into this offseason, you knew you had an idea that this was going to be a different looking club going into 2021, right?
I think we all did. It doesn't make it any easier. I mean, shoot, I've been with Frankie and Carlos Carrasco for the last 8 years. You become extremely fond of people. That said, knowing what the kind of salary he was going to command, could we put together a team that we thought could win? That was the biggest question we had. And I think ultimately we came up with the answer was no. So you make the best deal you can.
You made some moves. You bring back Cesar Hernandez. Eddie Rosario is going to be a part of your club now. Those to me, Tito, don't speak like rebuilding type of moves. I mean, people ask me, Nick, is this going to be a rebuild? I'll throw it to you, Tito, but that doesn't feel like this is a team that's preparing to kind of go through some changes and rebuild things, right?
Well, I think going through changes is different, I think, than rebuilding. And I'm glad you brought that up. I'm thrilled that Cesar's coming back. He's quietly just such a solid teammate and, can lead off or hit wherever you want him to. He catches everything at second. Just a really solid teammate. We're really excited to get Eddie Rosario in here and throw him in the middle of the order somewhere and turn him loose. So that's exciting. There are some young guys that we want to see, can they do it? Because if the answer is yes, that makes us a really much better organization moving forward. And I'll give you a few names, whether it's Bobby Bradley or Jake Bowers or Yu Chang or Bradley Zimmer or Oscar Mercado. There's reasons to think that they can all do it. It's just for a lot of different reasons, it hasn't got done on a consistent basis yet.
And Tito, you're starting pitching. I mean, you can still make the argument. It doesn't even have to be a big argument that you guys have the best starting five, top to bottom in this division. Is that something that you can kind of not take for granted, but hold your hat on that, hey, we've still got a really darn good rotation here?
You better believe it. And you can say it any way you want, and you kind of did. But when you're running a pitcher out there that you think gives you a chance to win every night, okay, if you're scoring, we know you got to score runs, but if you're not scoring in bunches, the runs you do score are meaningful. And it means that you're in every game. And that's a heck of a lot easier way to be successful than when you got to win 9 to 8 every night.
I normally ask you this question at Tribe Fest, so I'll ask it now here in February. Do you got the itch again? Does it feel like, hey, we're ready to go? Spring training's right around the corner?
Well, we better be, because it is right around the corner. I think being totally honest and candid, I think everybody, myself included, was hoping when 21 came around, we'd have more of a sense of normalcy. It hasn't happened yet. So again, we can either choose to whine about it or use it as a challenge, take it as a challenge, and see how well we can handle it as a team. I'm pretty confident that we're going to do that, the latter one, and figure out a way to be successful. Is it as much fun as in the past? No, it's not. It's really not. But there's not really much of a choice in the matter.
You still feel like, I remember you said at the beginning of last year, the teams that kind of buy in, the teams that can acclimate to how things are right now, and really make some sacrifices, they'll kind of have the most success. Is that kind of how you feel still going into 2021?
Yeah, I still do. You give yourself a much better chance to be successful. I thought last year our guys, we had one case before we showed up and then none after. And I think that really helped us during our season. Yeah, we got knocked out quicker than we wanted to, but we had a pretty good season. If you give yourself enough chances, and we witnessed that in 16, some pretty cool things can happen. So that's the idea. Now we're going to have a much longer year this year, and there's going to be other challenges that come with that. So, and we've already talked to our guys about being willing to make adjustments, and because it's going to have to happen over the course of 162 games with the COVID and everything else. So we need to be prepared to do that.
Like you said, what is normal anymore, right, Tito? But when you look at this upcoming season, do we get the feeling that it'll feel a little bit more like the baseball we're used to, or are we still unsure about that?
Well, I think spring training is going to be certainly different than we've ever had in the past. Because we're going to be under some pretty strict COVID regulations. I'm hopeful that as the season gets into, progresses into May and June with vaccinations, and then allowing some people to come back to the ballpark, that it'll be a lot more like it used to be. Even if it's not fully, we'll have people in the ballpark, and you can take your mask off, and that'll be a lot more fun for everybody.
And last thing for you, this Central Division. I know, Tito, you've talked about it before. Sometimes everyone's talking about the AL East, but I mean, this division, when you look at teams like you, and you've got the Twins in there and the White Sox, I mean, top to bottom, this is still a strong division. What's your feelings on it?
I agree with you. I think it's getting tougher each year, and some of the teams had to go through a kind of a full rebuild, but they're starting to come out of that now, and that makes it harder for us. But that's okay. I mean, you've heard me over the last 8 years. Whoever we're playing, that team is directly in our sights, and when they're not, we don't worry too much about it. But when we play them, that's the team we put all of our energy into. And you're right, our division is going to be better. That's okay, because we have to be better too.
Tito, listen, really appreciate the time. Good luck at spring training and with this upcoming season.
Thanks, Nick. I hope soon we're not doing a Zoom and we can actually do this in person.
You got it. Tito, thanks so much. Thanks for the time.
All right, Nick, take care.